everyone, it's Emily, and today I wanted to take you on a little tour of my game collection. So these are all the shelves I'm currently using for my video game collection, as well as my RPG figures and other gaming related memorabilia. I think it's been a little over a year since my last update, so I'm going to take you along and kind of share some insights of what has changed. So here is what the entirety of my video game collection and shelving looks like. And I get this question asked often, but I purchased these shelves off of Amazon, and I do have an affiliate link down below for those who may be interested in what this model is. But I really like these because I think they provide not only a lot of space for housing my video games, but a lot of nice display areas too. So now we're going to look at the top part of my shelf, and this is my Sword and Fairy Collector's Edition and the Nendoroid. I also just have a lot of other collector editions up here, including Rune Factory here at the end, as well as an Xbox controller. Now I'm going to go through the top portion of these shelves, starting with my Vita collection, where I also happen to have an Iba pop-up parade figure from the Collector's Edition sitting here as well as my system boxes, and that is the OLED model. I'm sitting there to kind of prop up my games. And as you see here, I have a lot of visual novels, a few that are Otome visual novels, as well as some more kind of mystery and sci-fi ones. Then I have a couple of platformers and some prominent JRPGs on the system. And as we moved down below, I have a lot of my Game Boy stuff here. And I don't have any acrylic stands to prop up all these handhelds, but I'm looking into that. I want to kind of have the nice little arrangement here. And I just have one in-box Game Boy game, and unfortunately it's a modern one. But I'm looking to see if maybe I could fill this shelf up with maybe some Japanese completed boxes. And then this is my very humble PSP collection. Right now, just exclusively of JRPGs. Now, if you go to the right, this is my Supergiant's little nook. And right now, it just houses my Hades soundtrack, as well as the Zagreus Pop-Up Parade figure, and the Cerberus plush, as well as my Transistor Collector's Edition in the back there. And I'm hoping to build this up more once Supergiant Games officially releases Hades 2 for a physical release. Now right next to that is my Final Fantasy VII Remake shelf. And that large poster-like thing of Aerith and Tifa is actually a sleeve that was part of the Insomniac Cookies collaboration that I happened to get earlier this year. And then I have my other Final Fantasy VII steelbooks, two that came in the deluxe editions that are there, as well as this one from Best Buy. And I'm hoping to eventually have some sort of figure here. I'm still debating on which one to go for. Now, if we go up here, this is my Atelier shelf, which mostly just has all the Nendoroids that have been released for the Atelier girls, as well as two collector's editions. They both happen to be for the Switch. And I also have a Ryza 1/7 scale figure from Wonderful Works. And eventually I'd like to add a few more collector's editions if we continue to see new releases for the Atelier series. And then to the right of my Atelier shelf is my One Piece shelf, which is kind of an anime slash somewhat gaming related, because I do have the steelbook for One Piece Odyssey. That was a GameStop pre-order right there, as well as my new 3DS that has a One Piece themed hard shell case. But everything else is definitely more anime. Now here are my other Trails steelbooks, both for the Crossbell duology, as well as Reverie and Daybreak. And right below that is my entire 3DS collection. So the top row is primarily my JRPG 3DS collection, and that's what I've really focused on since collecting the 3DS system. But I do have a select number of other sort of genres down below. So for example, there are the Zelda titles and some Professor Layton titles, as well as some of the monster taming RPGs and some farming and Animal Crossing type of simulation games, and a few of the Nintendo platformer type games. And then below that, I do have some long boxes for a few of my 3DS games that I got at launch, along with some more little Pokemon Gotcha guys and some handheld systems, and then my modest DS collection, which is mostly just Professor Layton games and a few select JRPGs that I've managed to get a hold of. Now, the next tier down houses all of my PlayStation games. So we have my PS2 games here, on the left, and then I've recently moved my PS4 games to the left as well, just so that the PlayStation systems are now in chronological order, with the PS5 games on the right. But all these PS2 games are ones from my childhood that still have cases, and I do have aspirations to build this up a little bit more. Thankfully, most of the ones from my childhood are still pretty attainable. And then all these are my PS4 collection. And so it's just a mix of 3D action platformers and some action adventure games and a lot of JRPGs. Now this is the new layout on the right side with all of my PS5 games. And I don't have too many PS5 games at this time, but I'm sure this will start building up once we get new releases coming out. And the penguin plush here is a preemie that came in the limited edition for Disgaea 1 Complete Edition. And then I have a fan-made Xenoblade Chronicles 2 standee and a few steelbooks, as well as some games that still have the discs inside of them on the right there. Now down below, right in the middle, are all of my Switch games. And I've been asked a few times the exact number of Switch games that would fit in a single row there. And if you're just using the standard Switch cases, it should comfortably fit 48 and then snugly fit 49. And then right below that are all of my Nintendo Switch steelbooks, which right now are kind of just space fillers. And whenever a new system comes out, like the Switch successor, I'll most likely be just collecting and putting those games down in that row. So this might not be super clear in this first shelf here, because this is more of a hodgepodge of games that don't really fit in the other sections. This is mostly just a mix of different genres other than RPGs, visual novels, and indie titles. Though there are a few RPGs and indie titles that did sneak their way up into that area of the shelf. Then right below that are all of my indie titles. So these are all mostly from the limited print publishers. And so some of these are from different regions. Like you see the ones with the centered spine there are all of my PAL editions from Super Rare Games. And I also have a few indie games here that made it to retail in here as well. To the right of that are all my other games. So these are kind of the two big genres I collect for, with the top section being my JRPG section. And so I have all of my NIS America titles on the left here, and then they move into my Atlas and Sega titles. And then I have my Nintendo titles that bleed into the Square Enix titles. And then below that are mostly my visual novels and kind of point and click sort of narrative games. The larger boxes are indie titles that are not visual novels, but they just happen to fit here. But I have various different publishers as well as different regions, like the ones with all the colors on the bottom are Asian English visual novels. So we're going to swing all the way to the left where 3 of my limited edition visual novels are sitting from Type Moon and Spike Chunsoft. And then below that is my collector's edition for Psychonauts 2, kind of displayed on its own here. And I'm probably going to move this up to the upper shelf because this was a kind of disappointing collector's edition, so it doesn't really need to be displayed all by itself there. And then to the right are some more little cubbies of displayed items. With the top, just housing my Ori collector's edition from I Am 8-Bit with that beautiful stained glass piece in the center. And then my Catherine Full Body collector's edition with the plush that was included sitting right on top. And then below that, I have a bunch of art books and soundtracks on here. So there's a mix of fan-made art books, like this One Piece Fire Emblem collaboration fan book right here that I'm going to move so you can see what's behind it. And then all the soundtracks are all official. They're mostly contained in either collector's edition or I got used from Japan. And then this tarot deck is from a Xenoblade fan project. Now the last shelf I have here in the corner house some of my favorite franchises. And as you can probably tell, I like to collect merchandise for these specific franchises. Now I'm gonna go one by one, sharing how these are arranged. And at the top there, I also have my various gaming related plushies. We're gonna start with my Xenoblade Chronicles shelf. And you'll see that I have all 3 collector's editions that came out on the Switch, as well as all of the Good Smile scale figures that have been released. We have Melia there, and Mithra and Pyra's figures. And I really liked the quality of all these. They're very much, I think, worth getting if you're into scale figures. They did a really great job with these. My favorite character in Xenoblade is Nia, so I of course had to get her scale figure there, and she just looks beautiful. I'm really thrilled with how she turned out. And then on the right there is Cosmos in her Xenoblade Chronicles 2 outfit version. And then for my Zelda shelf, not much has changed since I think my last update. I have all of my collector's editions as well as my console boxes in my first ever 3DS sitting right there. And someday I'd like to get some sort of Zelda or Link figure to kind of fill up that space. Now below that is my Trails shelf, or rather my first Trails shelf. And this one I kind of flipped and rearranged it so that it's now going from right to left in chronological order of this series. And so on the right here are all of my Trails in the Sky related merchandise. And so my latest figure I received was Estelle Bright with her Kotobukiya exclusive faceplate. And then Ren is there in the back. And then I have the Japanese PS Vita collector's editions with the acrylic standees that came from the Crossbell duology from the Western release. I'm sitting right on top. And then we're going to move on to my Crossbell figures, starting with Tio. Right there in the front. And then next to her is the Risha figure. And I do wonder how many more of these Kotobukiya figures are coming out because as you can see, I'm starting to be very tight on space. And then behind in the corner there is the start of all of my NAS America collector's editions for Trails, with Mishi sitting on top of the Cold Steel 3 collector's edition. And then I do have the Cold Steel 1 and 2 HD remastered special editions boxes sitting there as well. And then this is an acrylic stand that was included inside the Reverie collector's edition. And then I also have my Trails in the Sky pocket watch here, which I got from Super Groupies that was doing a collaboration with Trails. Now moving to the left side of the shelf, we have V's figure from Kotobukiya. And then I have my first Altina figure here, which I'm still in awe that she is getting now 3 figures, or rather 4 figures if you include the Nendoroid. And then behind her is my Crow figure, and you can see all of my pin box pins situated behind him as well. And then Rain is right there in front, kind of leading this charge of Class 7, and then Emma is right behind him. Now for my second Trails/Falcom shelf, you see here that I have a lot of Daybreak and other miscellaneous Trails items down here, along with Tokyo Xanadu and Ease. So on the right here, I have various art books for the more recent Trails titles that came out in Japan. And then I have my second Altina figure. This is a 1/8 by Quest Q in her Cold Steel 2 outfit, along with her Nendoroid there. And she is right next to Estelle's Nendoroid, which I'm so happy to finally have now, as well as Ren's Nendoroid. And I have a mug kind of sitting right behind them, as well as my Trails Through Daybreak collector's edition, and this acrylic standee right on top of it was a Anime Expo exclusive that I got from the Daybreak panel. And then I have my Nendoroid Petite figures of Trails characters. And then below them are all of the model kits I've assembled from the Trails franchise, of which Grendel here is my newest addition to the shelf that I put together, and he was rather simple. And then right next to him is Ordine, and then we have Valimar. And so these were actually my first ever model kits I put together, and they're a lot of fun. I highly recommend it for anyone who's looking for a very relaxing activity. I'm still wanting to kind of finish up their paint, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with how they went together. And then I have my Van plush and my Tokyo Xanadu PS4 collector's edition. And then I got that Ease 8 bookmark from Anime Expo. And then this is my collector's edition for Ease 8, the PS5 edition. With one Nendoroid Petite of one of the earlier Ease characters. And then that smaller figure of Adelaire I got out of the Ease 9 collector's edition. That's right in the back there, with some other larger box ease, and I also have Naivete Boundless Trails box there too. It's probably going to be moved eventually, but I just wanted to put all the boxes kind of together there. And then this is an acrylic standee that came from that Ease Origins box. And then these are the acrylic standee as well as the metal bookmark from the Boundless Trails Collector's Edition. Now the last rung of this shelf is my Fire Emblem collection. And you see here that I mostly just house my collector's editions, art books, and my figures. Starting on the left side are all of my 3DS related Fire Emblem items, with Cordelia's figure here being kind of my pride and joy. And then I also have the recent Corrin figure right next to her with the Fire Emblem Awakening localized art book in the back. And then I have the Fates special edition box right behind her. And then Tharja from Fire Emblem Awakening to her left. And then in the middle, I have some more collector's editions. So that's my Echoes special edition, the Marth figure right in front. And then to the right, we get to more Switch releases, including my Three Houses special edition with Byleth's scale figure posed right in front. And then I have Lynn's figure here in front of my N-Gage collector's edition, which I thought was appropriate because she was a hero in that game. And then Ike's scale figure is right next to her. He was also a hero in N-Gage, so I felt pretty good putting them there. And then behind him is a special art print or a shishiki kind of board that came from some sort of event in Japan that I got via proxy. And last but not least are the pre-order tarot cards that came from GameStop. So I hope you enjoyed seeing a close look of all of my shelves and the progress I've made in the past year. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this collection will continue to evolve over the years as some parts of it expands while other parts get a little bit more slimmed down and curated. And again, if you're interested in the model of shelves I'm using, you can find that information in the Amazon affiliate link down below. And until my next video, bye guys.